Hi everybody, thank you for joining me today. So today we're going to do our Friday sketch, and we're going to use this Mojo Monday sketch that we have here. And I had, for the most part, everything cut out, but this time I wanted to show you, because there's that side, the thin panel, and on the side of it, it looks like it has a scalloped edge. So I had two different scallop border punches, and I wanted to show you how to do them. So I punch in the center, slide it down until the scallops line up in the circles that they have on the left, and then doing the same thing on the right. And if you do it in such a way where you can see where the paper is lining up, then you get a nice even punch. I know these sometimes can be a pain, but I'm going to show you with one more punch, because I decided I wasn't sure if I liked the solid or if I wanted one that looked more like the ribbon, and that one is right here. So same thing, center it, punch, and then I'm going to slide it to the left, and I'm lining up the image, the scallops, right on the side there. They have the pattern there on the punch itself, and once you line it up, you get a perfect cut. But it's just important to make sure that your image is staying lined up, okay? And then, since I made it wide enough that I could do one on each side, it allows for me to be able to test it and figure out exactly which one I want to use. Because see, I liked it with the open scallop, which I'm going to try and line up here so you can kind of see it. But when I turned it back to this one, I really like the solid. So that's the side that we're going to keep. And I'm just going to cut it right down the middle. So I'm just going to pull out the cutter here, line it up so it looks like it's about halfway. And then we're just going to go ahead and cut right down the middle. And then that leaves us enough of an edge to be able to attach to our card. And the other one I'll save for another card. Okay, so now with that all done, we're going to go ahead and start putting our card together. Let me just, give me 1 second. I know at this point I'm kind of getting everything set up and moved over, and I'm going to now start. Now what I did was I took one of my Spellbinders dies and I cut out the rectangles for the layers. And what I did was I cut out the center part, because instead of putting the paper on top of it and losing all of that paper in the middle, I cut it out, which created the frame. And then it's perfect because you get your edge around your card and you don't get all the bulk. And every once in a while I'll remember that and do it, and it's like, oh yeah, I forget about that. But if you ever, you don't have a lot of supplies, maybe, you're running out of paper and you want to, have more longevity, then that's what I would suggest. Make sure you cut out the centers. Even if you do different shapes, it doesn't matter, because no one's going to see it because it's on the card. So once we have that down, we're going to take the middle square, and at first I was lining it up right on the edge. There's that little line in the paper, but I decided to move it over some, so that way some of the pattern in that base paper would show, because it had like different texture. So on the strip here, I'm going to just put a line of glue and then attach the scallop edge. And when I'm doing here is I wound up taking it apart, because it was just, it was like not even 1/16 of an inch off, but it was off enough. You know how that happens sometimes? Yeah, so I had to take it apart and then put it back together until I was happy with it. And then I'm just making sure there's enough tape on it, because the thing I hate most of all is doing a card and then going back to it and seeing parts of it lifting up like I didn't put enough tape down. It drives me nuts. And these are cards, I don't readily sell them. If somebody, wants one, or, especially the ones I make here on the video, you know, I'll just give it to them, or I'll send it to a friend, or, you know, give it to a colleague whose, you know, birthday it is, whatever it may be. So I want them to enjoy it, and the idea that it could possibly fall apart in somebody else's hands, I don't like that. So if you think I'm using too much tape, I probably am, but I'd rather risk it. So for the sentiment itself, I'm putting down foam tape, so that way the sentiment has a little bit of dimension. And we're just going to set it here in the middle. Now this one piece, I was pulling it back up because it was partly hanging off, and then I didn't like how it peeled up some of the paper, so I chucked that and just got a fresh piece, and went ahead and put down the fresh piece of tape. It just made it easier. And then once we get the backing off, we can go ahead and attach that. And with the sentiment, I kind of put it towards the top left of the corner of the square, because the flower that I'm grabbing right there is going to go at the bottom right, just like it shows on the sketch that we had. And we're just gluing it down. I had a big leaf and a small leaf, and you're going to see a lot of fumbling because the best part about using some of these wet glues is it gives you time to move stuff around, make sure everything is looking the way that you want. And I realized when I moved the bottom leaf, it was covering up part of the scallops. And when I was looking at the picture, I was like, oh, you could see the scallops on the bottom. So it made me then look at moving it, you know, slightly to the left, so that way you could still see some of the scallop, and make sure that, you know, my words weren't being hidden either. Alright, so there's our sketch, and I love this. Now, of course, you know, I thought, what can I do to take this up a notch? Oh, did you guess splatter? Well, here's close-ups of our finished product, and you can see some of the gold splatter. I'm telling you guys, if you haven't done any splattering, you've got to. Just dive in and try it. I am in love, and I love the gold because it just gives it a hint of something without it being, you know, too crazy. So thank you for joining me. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and share button, and I will see you guys with our next video. Have a great weekend.